Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and you're welcome to another episode of Zoom Time. In today's global economic trend, you don't have to have oil to be a rich nation. Bayelsa State is one of the richest and naturally endowed states within the South-South geographical zone of Nigeria, with enormous gas and oil potentials. But the state government believes that one day the oil will dry off. So what next? It's against this backdrop that the Zoom Time crew was recently in the state capital, Yenagoa, to capture the government's new economic plan. Now stay tuned, because today's focus will be on Bayelsa State. This is your captain, Charlie Boy. Stick with us.
Grains or vegetables, livestock or fishery, Nigerians are predominantly farmers, blessed with agricultural potentials and arable lands for farming. Whether or not Nigerians are successful farmers is a national question for a national answer. But today, we are in Bayelsa State, the nation's richest oil-producing area. A strong believer in the notion that agriculture can boost the resource base of the country. That is why the word on the street as regards the agric sector in the state is think agric, live agric, and eat agric.
The concept of agricultural revolution in Bayelsa State is aimed at attainment of self-sustaining growth in all the subsectors of agriculture and the structural transformation necessary for socio-economic development of the state, as well as the improvement in the quality of life of all Bayelsa people.
The intention is for us to leave a state that is much better than what we met. And one of the problems we had in Bayelsa, we still have, which we're trying to surmount, is the fact that it was a monocultural economy. 94% or more than that of our earnings were from the federation account, because the state doesn't have any private sector, doesn't have any industrial base, and there are no other activities apart from oil activities. So when we came in, we decided that we must diversify the economy, because keeping it on this monocultural lane was really being too narrow. So we decided to invest in certain sectors of agriculture.
I'm passionate with the state because it's a state that was created in order to achieve development. It's a state that is blessed with both natural and human resources.
No doubt, the Mipre Silva administration is ready to bring back the love for agriculture and commercialize it. But how easy will it be to change the mindset of Bayelsans, who for many years depended on the proceeds of oil and gas, which has been very attractive, but unfortunately brought about a high level of corruption and total neglect for agric sector?
It's very attractive because there is much income, you can get more money in the oil industry. But if you make agric to be more attractive than the oil, people will have to come in.
Not that we are very true to oil. Oil is not found in one place, it's found in everywhere. We like agriculture. If
the government about that, everybody now will go to the farm, no problem.
Even the militants now, we've been trying to talk to them to disengage and start thinking of how they can key in to these laudable projects that the governor is trying to raise, and that's going to be a very big catch too, and they're responding.
I be farmer. The time when I die, I be farmer. Not to buy anything. Now when government loan me, I go get strength to do farm work. I'm in a rice, so Banana cassava.
We are moving from oil revenue to non-oil revenue. Agriculture is the surest bet for us to move to the next level in terms of generating revenue. And for Bayelsa, we have comparative advantage with fisheries, and rice and palm oil. So the point is that if that is our own area, we must also reflect it in terms of our strategy. And the strategy I reflected it in the budget because 7% of our capital budget today go into agric. I mean, that's quite marvelous. 15 billion has been budgeted for agriculture in the state. So that's to say that we are ready for the funding of this sector.
Now, the only thing we can do is to ensure that this sector competes favorably with the oil sector in terms of personal income earning. So as soon as you get that done, then there will be no problem at all. People will have to move in. And the masses will go in. I assure you, it will create a lot of employment and the people will have to participate.
Generally, we are, my company is an expert, has the expertise in adapting and developing technology for greenhouses. We've been in discussions with the Commissioner of Agriculture and through our partners in Nigeria, Colonel Obi. Our company is honored and privileged to be part of this initiative. We are talking about vegetables and in the first phase, and then we are planning on adopting and exploring other crops, including flowers, which is where we had tremendous success in places like Kenya and other places in Africa, not to mention, of course, Israel.
In Bayelsa, we found first a very dedicated government with visionary leadership of the governor, escorted or accompanied by a group of commissioners which are very dedicated. Means that they want to build a long-term economy based on other options rather than oil and gas only.
Our goal is to produce very high quality, economically viable product that it will be good both for the local and export markets.
The Bayelsa State Oil Palm Company is the first, and for now, the only productive parastatal in terms of economic product, owned solely by the state and has 1,200 hectares of cultivated land with matured palm trees.
So here in the nursery side, we felt we should increase it further every year so that we can hit our target.
The local milk will not cope up with the number of fruits that come from the field, so we sell it. We sell some parts and then sell use our local meat to meet out some fruits.
Now the focus is now on agriculture. The governor have already said he's declaring an emergency situation on agriculture. He felt everybody should think agric. He sees agriculture as a springboard where every other sector can take from. So the redirection is there for employment generation, for revenue, and for the agro sector, because the industries can set in. Like for instance, from the oil palm alone, we can get more than 48 industries. So I think it is a springboard for others, and that's the focus the administration is having.
Oil palm is one of the most important cash crops cultivated in tropical Africa. It is mainly grown for the production of palm oil, kernel oil, and other byproducts which serves as raw materials for other industries. With expansion of plantation, construction of accessible road network, and installation of the modern oil mill, the government intends to set up a medium-sized palm oil refinery to enable the company produce and package export quality products.
This is a 10 upgradable to 20 ton per hour mill. What we'll do here is just basically to process the FFB.
Right now, the level of completion is about 75%. most of the structures are on ground. We have few structures that will come in to complement what we have here. And once this mill is operational, all the palm fruits that you saw will not be going out anymore. We'll be able to handle them here in the Bayelsa palm. And this mill is not only for the production of special palm oil, it can also get the kernels cracked and separated. You can also get palm kernel oil. So there are a lot of products that can come out from this mill.
Bayelsa State Oil Palm Estate has a huge ecotourism potentials. The palm estate is located in a very serene environment with very good vegetation that suits complete relaxation of mind and body. Not only that, excellent ring road and nearness to city center within the palm estate. This will no doubt provide employment and generate revenue for the state. In tropical Africa, private entrepreneurial skills are increasing day by day. In our conglomerate, we are proud to announce that we can produce over 50 million within 9 months. Our vision is to take a driver's seat on emerging Nigeria's fishery industry.
Achievers Farms Limited. We don't go fishing, we produce.
Achievers Farms Limited. The fishery is another important subsector. The government is striving earnestly and diligently to tap the entrepreneurial pot of gold because of its relative comparative advantage.
We envisage that we need to put a lot of assets on ground so as to be able to gravitate foreign resources, like investors. And for now, what we have done so far is putting those things on ground, the fundamentals. Simply to say, we have been able to have 5 segments of production. We have the shrimp culture, we have the upland APA creek, and we have the mainstream APA creek. We have these burrow pits, and we also have trawlers. I forgot to talk about the trawlers because the trawlers, we have about 5 of them coming, and they've gone to bring them from China under a private-public participation kind of stuff. So when those ones come, they will add up to the total capacity of production. So from these 5 segments, we are saying that we could accrue a revenue of about 50 billion in total.
Process upon process, construction upon construction, the people are highly committed in working now towards building the biggest fishery industry in Bayelsa State. This is a APA Creek upland fish farm estate.
Despite the constraints, the work has been so good and we've been very supportive with the state government. Okay. We're looking at concluding 500 ponds, 18 ponds, and 100 smaller nursery ponds, at the end of it all.
We were all farmers, fishermen, and so on at the subsistence level. But now what Timi Pre-Silva has, this administration has, is we are going beyond that to look at the commercial agriculture. That's the summary of it. We were doing it just to feed ourselves, but now we are going into business in fish farming. Right now, the Bayelsa State government has even floated a company, the Niger Delta Seafood Company Limited. We want to make it purely a commercial venture, and government has less to contribute in that respect. The company will take off and the company will run the business on its own. The program that we have on fishery, we are looking at two areas. One, we are looking at job creation and employment with our people. In that area, we are turning out all the borrowed pits because we have a lot of borrowed pits scattered here and there by the oil companies during their construction in this area. And we are turning out all these borrowed pits into fish ponds. In that area, there are some of them that are already been acquired by government. Some are still owned by individuals. For those that are owned by individuals, we partner with the individual. We set up what we call special purpose vehicle, SPV, to run those one. Government will supply all the necessary feeds and stock it. And then at the end of the day, we have a sharing ratio, 70-30. The owners will take 30 while government takes 70. And then the other one that we acquired outrightly, we will stock it, we prepare it, make it very neat and stock it, and then give it to a cooperative to run. And then at the end, the same sharing ratio will be applicable. And that is what we want. So that in which case we are creating employment, we are creating wealth for the people.
Presently, the government is having a contract with us to produce 50 million fingerlings for the government. And for that reason, we've been working 24 hours, 247, to ensure that we produce the number of fingerlings they needed. That's a good initiative from the government.
The people from the Niger Delta are predominantly fishermen first, by virtue of where God has placed us, because we are riparian communities. The riparian community is a community that sits side by side with water. So agriculture, which is fishing, is an integral part of agriculture. So this is the occupation that God has put us into. Any other form of occupation is alien to us. So for us to survive, we have to go back into this business. But this business now has taken a global dimension, and so capital infusion into the business is critical.
Government is not supposed to be in production, but to facilitate it. And for government to do that, it has to go into partnership with the private sector. And that is the whole idea of a public-private sector partnership.
And here in Bayelsa State, the government, this present administration has come up with that initiative to see how we can welcome our genuine friends who want to partner with us to do business here, because the place is good. The place has all the trappings of a city or a state of tomorrow.
We're supplying them the fingerlings, then and the feed for the fishes also. So production is basically on fingerling production and feed for them in order to meet up with their huge demand. The workload is a bit much, and it takes some technical know-how, as in what and what they should do, because it's not an easy task anyway. But with the advent of things and enough feeds, as in the proper feeding and a good source of fingerlings, the fishes can do well, and at least they will get their desirable results at the appropriate time.
If they put in anything on agriculture, they will see the returns, because we are ready to partner with private sector from the rural level to the international level.
We feel that today, in a global world in which food security is very, very important, it is our duty and to share whatever we gain or experience and know-how that we gain in many, many fields, especially in agriculture, with our friends and partners like Nigeria, will no doubt help Nigeria to become self-sustained, to help and assist Nigeria in its quest for self-reliance, especially in providing food to its people.
What is being done is to expand that revenue by looking at various areas of agriculture, partnering with the private sector, looking at the financing, looking at the personnel that are to mind, that is the human capacity, looking at the technologies or the engineering to make it efficient. So when you do that, and also targeting specific markets, both export and also within the country. So I think with this one, you can see the huge amount expected for fisheries. So I think with the way it is going on, the government has the clout, it has the capacity to be able to fund a few of these projects and make them work, and all this will then catalyze the others in the agricultural sector.
Government can really empower the youth, empower the youth, encourage them in the area of finance, giving them job, enlighten them, train them, and they will now know the importance of agric, so that they will have the interest and they will have the passion to go into, because their own belief is that it's not easy to be an agriculturist or like the white-collar jobs.
I can gladly say that the state has moved forward, in the area of development, be it in infrastructure, education, health, agriculture, because there have been more resources, to put into those areas, to touch on the lives of the people.
Introducing tourism into fisheries, just like us, we are equally planning to introduce agriculture, reintroduce agriculture into primary schools and secondary schools. We know sometime in our days if we are there, but these days no longer there, so we want to reintroduce that into primary and secondary school. So plans are on and we are doing that.
The governor himself has the heart of the Bayelsans, and he has their ears, and he also has everybody in his heart. He's ready to revitalize the economy and improve the lot of the people and increase the distribution effect of the income, and is also ready to make sure that there is mass employment for the people. And this is about mass employment, if we're talking of mass employment, because for us to acquire these sites alone, you're saying here as Borough Pits, we have to go into the communities to convince them that this thing is workable. And right now we've done the acquisition, we have signed MOUs, and we have also formed things called SPVs, special purpose vehicles. So in the SPVs, we have 2 people from the communities and we have 2 people from government. So we work in harmony to make things work out.
Bayelsa State has a huge plain land suitable for rice cultivation. The government has signed MOU with a Vietnam company to kickstart the process.
Is that we have a flat land, wet land, and because of the tidal nature of the state, we can harvest rice 3 times in a year. So take for instance, if we have 30 hectares, multiply that by 3, we have 90, because we can easily harvest rice 3 times in a year. So we have those comparative advantages. Those are the things that make us unique in these areas of agriculture.
Plantain is an important staple food in humid tropic zones of Africa, Asia, Central and South America. It has been one of the oldest cultivated crops in Bayelsa State. Concerted effort towards making it an industrial raw material is a dream of this administration.
That is why we have both the National Program for Food Security, we also have the Root and Tuber Expansion Program, we have the National Fadama Development Program, Fadama 3. All these are geared towards empowering our farmers for income generation, employment generation, and to enhance food production in the state.
So in all, what we've decided to do is to really redirect the energies of our people to agriculture. And we feel that is a very sustainable sector, and that is going to provide a lot of value for the state, and of course by extension Nigeria, and we're very doggedly pursuing that focus.
Governor Timi Silva is ever prepared to bring Bayelsa to a different platform where we can generate revenue through agriculture. He's ever ready, he's prepared, and the expectation is very high because We know that that is the only source of revenue, alternative source of revenue we can get apart from oil. And as the revenue of oil is going down every day, the only area we can zero into is agriculture. And we are serious, we are ready and prepared to do that for Bayelsans. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have for this week's episode of Zoom Time. I hope you've been duly informed. Oh yes, diversification is a strong point in modern economic activity. Bayelsa state government has set the pace, and I will urge other state governments to be more creative. Agriculture is one of the sectors that can boost our resource base, so let's not depend too much on the black gold. Till I come your way next week, the same time, make it a date with me, Charlie Boy. As I say, au revoir.